In this video, we are going to quickly run through the names of the 8 most common three-dimensional shapes that you need to be familiar with, and these shapes are also sometimes referred to as solid shapes, but before we dive into naming them, we first need to understand how to label the different parts of three-dimensional shapes. If you think back to two-dimensional shapes, such as a square, you might remember that they have corners and sides, but when it comes to three-dimensional shapes like a cube, the way we describe their features is slightly different. Instead of calling the corners, we refer to them as vertices. And if we are talking about just one of them, we use the word vertex. In addition to vertices, three-dimensional shapes have edges, which are the straight lines that connect one vertex to another. And they also have faces, which are the flat surfaces that lie between the edges. For example, if we take a closer look at a cube, we can identify that it has a total of 8 vertices, with 4 located on the top and another 4 on the bottom. This cube also has 12 edges. These include 4 along the top, 4 around the middle connecting the top and bottom, and 4 more along the base. In addition, the cube has 6 flat surfaces or faces, which we can clearly see on each side. Now, let us move on to the 8 three-dimensional shapes you need to know. The first one is the cube, which we just looked at, and the second is the cuboid, which is similar to a cube but appears to be stretched out because its faces can be rectangular instead of all being squares. The third important shape is the triangular prism, which has triangular faces on both ends, and these triangles are joined by 3 rectangular faces along the sides, forming the overall prism shape. The next two are both types of pyramids. We have the triangle-based pyramid and the square-based pyramid, and they are named based on the shape of the base face of each pyramid. One has a triangle at the base and the other has a square. Also, just so you know, you might sometimes hear the triangle-based pyramid being called a regular tetrahedron, but that term refers to a very specific type of triangle-based pyramid, where all faces are equilateral triangles, meaning all sides and angles are the same. Now, moving on to the last 3 shapes we need to know, we begin with the sphere, which looks like a tennis ball or a football and is perfectly round. Then there is the cylinder, which you can think of as looking like a can of soda, and finally we have the cone, which looks like an upside-down ice cream cone. Before we wrap up the video, it is worth exploring the cylinder, the sphere, and the cone in a bit more detail, particularly looking at how many vertices, faces, and edges each one has. Starting with the cylinder, this shape does not have any vertices because it has no sharp corner points. It has 3 faces, 1 flat circular face on the top, a curved face wrapping around the middle, and another flat circular face at the bottom. As for the edges, it has 2 circular edges, one circling the top and one circling the bottom. Next, we look at the sphere. This shape has just one single continuous curved face that covers the entire surface, and because of its smooth, rounded nature, it has no vertices and no edges at all. And lastly, we have the cone, which has 1 pointed vertex at the top. It has 2 faces, a curved one that wraps around the sides and a flat circular face on the bottom, and it has just 1 edge that goes around the base of the cone, forming a perfect circle. And with that, we have covered all 8 essential three-dimensional shapes and explained the key features such as vertices, edges, and faces that help us understand and describe them.